Everyone, welcome to this episode of Nightcap, brought to you by Schmuckies. You'll understand why in a second. I have with me three wonderful lads from the Mythos Mystery Society and other places. We have the twins, Tom and Dave Bruno. They're related. And then we have Ty, who's not related to anyone on screen.
Me and Ty have actually been confused for twins multiple times, actually.
It's the flannel. It's the flannel.
It's because we
the
always
flannel and the
wear
facial
flannel.
hair. Flannel and the facial hair.
Not to mention this happened when we were 9, but you know.
Well, all right, you know.
I
when
can
you're
wear
closer.
flannel and facial hair if I wanted to.
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting off track. I'm sorry. I ruined it.
You ruined everything, but it's okay. I've known these lads for some time. I've been a fan longer, I feel like, than a friend, but I feel like the time between those is very blended because I found the Mythos Mystery Society through, I think, Ty, when we were playing in a game of Urban Shadows in, God, the 2018? Was that it?
40 years ago.
It's been 84 years.
Yeah, it's in 2018. Yeah.
And Ty was like, I play board games with these guys, and I said, okay. And I watched, and it was just ridiculous.
It might have been 2019, actually, because it was.
Really?
We went to the Gen Con that same year, didn't we?
Yes, 2019 was Gen Con.
And I forgot you went to a Gen Con after.
That was 2019.
I did,
So it was early 20. We met January 2019, I think, around that.
Yeah. So it's
Early.
been a while. It's been a hot second, and y'all are just lovely, wonderful. I'm trying not to say that you are in any way. I'm trying not to lie. No, but y'all are great. Y'all are
we should
hilarious. How dare
probably
you?
throw a disclaimer up for our audio only people who might be listening that me, Dave, and Tom are two different people, but
They
we are
sound
twins.
identical.
That sound exactly the
They
same.
do sound the same
No,
multiple
don't.
times.
I don't think we sound the same at all.
Oh, this is my real voice.
I'm a
I
real
just tone
boy.
it down whenever I want people to know me.
I just try to sound like Tom. This is Dave. I'm a big poo head.
I'm Tom. I put my pants on backwards first every day before I could put it on correctly. It's embarrassing if anyone watching. It's my little secret.
So I have an opening question, and this has actually been I have two questions. We're gonna start with a softball one for all of y'all, since I know, Dave, you've been Mythos Mystery Society, big quotes, big MMS for a while. Was it actually like an idea of like a multitude of you all? What is the Mythos Mystery Society, for one, for people for the uninitiated?
So I guess the Mythos Mystery Society is like a podcast / YouTube show / Twitch event thing where we just kind of play role-playing games, and it jumps around, but like horror kind of is our main focus, but we've also done like cyberpunk and like other silly things and stuff like that. But like when we first started it was just me, Chris, and Ty playing Arkham Horror, the card game, and we finished the Dunwich Legacy campaign, so we made up some stupid little story for like what happened to the characters afterwards. And then I ran The Haunting, and then we also had an ending for that where they joined the society at the end of it to kind of tie those two things together. And then from there, we just kind of kept playing games. So it's just like, at first, it wasn't even really live streamed anywhere. We just kind of like recorded it for YouTube and streamed it on Facebook because I didn't want to like go on the internet.
Oh no,
so like
Facebook's
it was just
not
like
the internet.
Yeah, well, it's just like only my friends can see it and stuff like that. So it's just like, this is for my friends and everything. But Facebook's like live streaming kind of sucks. So like anybody who can watch it usually found it like well after we were live and stuff. So it's just like, but then like eventually I was convinced to do it on Twitch and stuff because Ty knew like people like you, Maria, and like your group of friends and everything, and it was just like, oh yeah, no, we have like a cool audience that will watch our stuff, and like it'll be nice and everything like that.
Me, your
like,
number one fan.
Yeah.
Besides Ryan on YouTube. Shout out to Ryan on YouTube.
Love
Maria,
you. Pour
you've
one
been-
out for my Ryan. I'm not pouring this out on my keyboard.
Maria's been demoted from number one fan to part of the crew.
I have.
Definitely
I regret it
demotion.
every day, every single day of my
You didn't
life.
have to be here.
Yet somehow
you
I
had a
am.
way out.
Somehow I am. The follow-up question: what the hell is Schmuckies, and where did it come about? Like,
So in It was funny because I was hoping somebody would ask that question.
It's me. It's time.
Here we are.
Like Schmuckies came around because in the first episode of The Haunting, I thought it would be funny to do like a commercial break sponsor, and I chose like a really poor one because I went with a Looney Tunes joke. The Eagle Hand Launderer, which is from like my favorite episode of Looney Tunes. But then like we tried to do that joke again, and I wanted to say Schmuckers, like the jam company, but I forgot the name of it and knew it was close to that. So then it just was Schmuckies, and we liked it so much, and we just kept making like another tagline after another tagline that was more and more ridiculous. That we're just like, let's just always be sponsored by Schmuckies.
And now you have like merch that has.
I do. I actually have a bottle of Panther
Schmuckies.
milk on my.
It's bad. It's bad. If y'all want to know about Panther milk, just don't.
It's rich and creamy, and it will give you inhuman strength.
It's very exciting. So you mentioned one of the big things that we do. I'll say we because I am now part of this crew of people. Is RPGs. A lot of them, a varied amount of them. In fact, October is Mythos Con. We wrapped that up not two weeks ago, something like that. At the time of this recording, I'm sure it was great.
Nothing bad happened. We all died.
We all
this is the last recording anyone ever has seen of us.
Spooky. But Dave, you mentioned that, and I say every year I've been to one Mythos Con, but
the one previous one we had,
the one last one that we did last year. I've been to every Mythos Con, every single Mythos Con. But something I like that you all do in Mythos Con that did last time was between segments and whatever, you just ask questions about TTRPGs and stuff, because it's kind of the like annual anniversary celebration thing of Mythos Mystery Society.
Yep.
That's every single time. It's a mouthful every single time. So I figured we would do that here. I have some questions. If you all have any other questions, this is going to be, because we're all part of this group, we all get to ask each other questions. This may be my show, but it is no longer in my hands.
And we've all been, everybody here has been a GM for the Mythos Mystery Society at one point
least
too.
Once, yeah.
I want to even actually open up the floor that you can make it about any RPG you've run, because this doesn't have to necessarily be a myth or run or played in. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Mythos Con-centric one. It's what's going to be for me because it's what I do the most, but it doesn't have to be for you guys. For sure. So my first question is, what is if you can remember, what the hell is you gotta tell me again.
Now tell me the truth.
Tell me the actual truth now.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this. It can't be a Schmucker's raspberry jam. It just can't be.
It just can't be.
It was a typo this
Peaches
whole time.
preserves. Okay. When did you start playing TTRPGs? And if you can remember it, what was the first TTRPG you ever played?
Oh, I can remember that. The first dungeon.
The first dungeon you ever dragoned.
The first RPG I ever played was Dungeons and Dragons in junior high with my friends Matt and Scott was our GM, and I haven't heard from Scott in decades. But like,
he's still in the dungeons with the dragons.
With the dragons.
But yeah, he had a really silly campaign that I'm almost positive he just kind of made up as we went along. Like, didn't write anything down. Just at one point, I remember we were in a Coliseum and we fought Squall from Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh my god, amazing.
And you killed him. Yeah, you killed him with an obliteration ring.
Yeah, it was the best roll of my entire life. I rolled 100%.
It initially started with me,
I want to talk about
Scott.
the roll. Would you shut up for a minute?
But it initially started with me and Matt, and I'd never done this before. Matt, I think, said this necessarily wasn't his first time, but like Scott had been GMing for friends and stuff like that, so I got pulled into it. It's just us three. And then I thought it was so cool. I remember not being able to shut up about it when my mom picked me up from Matt's house to take me home. what's it called? I thought it was so cool. I kept bringing more and more people over to do it, which is like a death sentence. Never do that mid campaign. Like set up for that out the gate, and then like run smaller one shots or something. It gets really difficult when you bring too many people in mid campaign.
We brought Dirk in at one point.
Yeah, we brought everybody in at one point. Like, and then it just died. But yeah, no, it was really fun. I had to keep showing more and more people about it and stuff. But that was my first exposure to role-playing games, I guess. I played as an elf named Durandal, who was like a berserker because he was literally just guts from Berserk. And then I remember after a certain point, I wanted to be a dark elf because I thought they were so fucking cool and like edgy and stuff that like the way I had to become it was to have a bad dream, but I kept failing my rolls in the dream, so I just kept going back to sleep so that I could become this dark elf. But yeah, that was my first time getting into it.
Tom. Tomba.
Same question.
Same question.
Answer if you dare. I played the same one Dave was talking about, but I was one of the late additions that ruined it.
It was you
for
the
sure.
whole time.
Well, it was a learning process. I think we all learned.
Oh yeah, no, it was
that,
very we were children, experience.
The babes.
I will alter the question slightly and say the first time I enjoyed it back then, but the first time I understood how to play was when we played as Pathfinder. Ty, you ran that, and I played as Bleck, the Gripply Rain Beastmaster. So it was like basically like Han. Well, I was working on like Guardians of the Galaxy at the time, so it was basically Rocket and Groot kind of thing. So Bleck was like 3 feet tall frog thing, and he had a giant sloth as a pet. So kind of the same rough idea. And I figured out that I'd much rather play a silly, weird, kind of not serious character, because that first time with Dave, I played as Nox, who was like a Western gunslinger. He was the coolest thing ever, or whatever. I think he could also turn into a werewolf or something at one point.
Wow.
Like he was really cool, but like, it's like, that's kind of a dead end road, there's nothing to go with that. Whereas, Bleck was this innocent little frog thing from a swamp and who's been tortured by swamp panthers. Like his entire clutch of eggs or whatever were slowly picked off by various creatures of the swamp. So he's this innocent thing that managed to survive, but now it's like, well, what do you do and everything? And he ran into these 3 adventurers or whatever, and he slowly became like a terrible person.
As you do when you meet up with random adventurers.
Terrible
He had an arc. He had an arc for sure, but it was more like Breaking Bad, where like he was lovable in the beginning, and then towards the end, I think it ended with him. It was a reflection of the beginning of it, where he met something else in a bar, but he's grizzled and old and worn out and stuff like that.
No,
and he sees this other little mushroom thing that looks innocent. He's like, "You want to go on an adventure, huh?" But yeah. No, that was the first time I would say I understood it, and like had more fun with it than I did before.
It helps that it was also the first one you started on the ground level of,
right?
Whereas the other ones we like introduced you later on and stuff.
Yeah, so. There's a difference between starting a campaign at level 1 and being handed a level 6 character and being like, now figure out the entire rule set and then some.
And we already did that adventure, so we can't have fun with you anymore.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and there was like you miss out on all like the inside jokes. So it's like, it's less funny. It's more like, okay, what's going on? Like, why are they laughing? Why is this funny? Yeah, he's probably one of my favorite characters.
Black, yeah, he was good.
He was super fun. Yeah. I miss him. And he can't be touched ever again, I think.
You gotta
just wouldn't be the same.
Preserve him forever.
Yeah, him, Augie Doggy, and Augie can be touched again. He's funny. And Jack. Jack Cooper.
God, Jack.
Oh, Jack
shouldn't be touched again.
No.
He can't
reference
be touched
him
again.
occasionally in Delta Green, like
he's
off
a
camera.
fucking legend.
No.
He is.
I like to imagine Jack Cooper and Roger Rogers have a lot to talk about because they both believe in aliens.
Ty, the same question.
I had some friends who had a 3rd edition D&D book when I was a kid, and like I read through it, but didn't play it really. We made characters. I think the first time I actually played ever was our first Pathfinder campaign.
Oh wow!
With Dave, me, and Matt. Yeah, like officially played.
Yeah, so we had 2 Pathfinder campaigns.
Yeah,
Ty ran both of them, but there was like a prequel campaign where it was like me, Matt as the players, and then Ty made a character to kind of play alongside us, but he was also the GM. But then we had a sequel campaign, which is the one that Tom was talking about.
Yeah.
The sequel.
Yeah, and I played the son of the character I played as in the first game, but because I don't know, it's just a weird situation.
Well, the whole like, first of all, the reason it got started was because I had a job in like working for a gaming company, and then we were like, oh, we should get into it again. And I got discounts, so I bought everything.
Oh, nice.
And then we started it, and then our second when we finished we kind of, I think it fell apart, our first campaign, but we played it for like a while.
We were all in college, so it kind of
and then we played World of Darkness for a little bit, and then that stopped. And then the point of the second campaign was we're like, oh, let's do like evil characters, or like not traditional good heroes. So all of us were fucking weird. Jason was a straight up evil like sorcerer.
I was a necromancer.
I was a half vampire. Dave was a necromancer. We're all like less than good.
And I was a frog.
You were a frog, and that's how that.
I don't think I got that memo that we were supposed to start out as evil characters.
No, it wasn't that we were. It's more like we weren't supposed to be like traditional good heroes, and that was never the point of that campaign. And we never were. We were always fucking mess. You went to jail. You were on trial twice in that campaign.
I killed a guy in a fight club.
You killed me
in a basement.
You killed me with a sock full.
I blew up that whole town. Yeah, I did kill Dave with a sock.
Oh yeah, you blew up all of Kashigo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's a bad frog?
Yeah.
Wowzers.
The first time I actually played a game, as a straight up player, was Urban Shadows with you. I think that was the first time I actually really played. Yeah.
Oh,
it's not like a GM player.
Ty was totally like hanging out with you guys playing RPGs on the internet before we started the MMS, and like MMS is kind of where we kind of started making newer characters and doing things at shorter cycles, so then we'd actually finish them and stuff. So like I didn't really get to play, like I only played like 3 characters before we started the Mythos Mystery Society.
I take it back. Urban Shadows was the first time I played without being a GM, because I did 2 campaigs with Dice Prairie before. One was not.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I was a GM though as well. I was GM like part-time,
like co-GM. Yeah.
The first time I had nothing to do with GMing was Urban Shadows.
I will answer my own question. Thank you for asking. I didn't know TTRPGs existed until college in 2010. And it was actually meeting James through his older brother that I realized they existed. James has been playing them longer than I have. And we didn't start with D&D. We started with Savage Worlds, which is a kind of a genre-less open TTRPG that's super, super cool. But we played a clockwork campaign. So it was like a steampunk setting that was like a future steampunk. Futuro. So not like Victorian England. It was like dystopian steampunk. It was very, very cool. I had no idea how to do RPGs. I was studying theater and I had no idea how to be an RPG character. But I was missing an eye and I had a robot arm, and that's all that mattered. And it was very cool.
Sounds fucking cool.
It was very, very cool. And then we stuck with Savage Worlds for a couple of years, but we moved from that to like more stereotypical like fantasy setting, and then jumped into D&D once like it was like D&D Next. I think it was like the trial, like the in between 4 and 5.
Ooh.
And then it was 5 for a long time, until like doing, the Urban Shadows game literally was the first TTRPG I played after getting introduced to D&D. It was like 5 years of D&D and then Urban Shadows. And now it's everything. Now I play everything. You give it to me, I'll play it at least once.
Try anything.
Everything. It's a
I have
good time.
a question that kind of spawned off of some of our stories that we told, which is, can you describe the edgiest character you've ever played?
Kay Belton. This character. This character right here. Yeah. Urban Shadows. 2 seasons of Urban Shadows.
Yeah.
Kay Belton was the first non-binary character I ever played, which was really interesting to me. But also, Kay Belton. So, brief history.
It was a good edgy. It was a good edgy.
It was an emo edgy, but like in a good way. In a like a, oh God, this kid is very, very sad. Kay Belton was from a family. Okay, let me start over. Kay Belton had a demon inside of them, kind of. They came from a family who also were like patrons of this demon person, shadow demon thing. And they had to have very many tragic things happen to them during the entire gameplay. Like they lost 90% of their family throughout various circumstances. They had to kill their own sibling, their twin sibling. It was a very bad time, but it was really interesting to like play through this very up and down cycle of like, I don't care about anything. I don't want to deal with it. I have these really ridiculous powers, but I'm never going to touch them because I don't want anything to do with the family business or whatever, to like being thrust into like, no, you don't understand. You have to use these powers, and then realizing I'm very powerful and now I'm also very angry, to like coming down from that. It was a lot. It was a whole lot, but I very much I enjoyed them enough to commission art of them.
That's awesome.
That's my edgy character.
Mine
You should do
was,
that.
that's
Pay
a cool
artists,
idea.
friends.
If only somebody was drawing all of our characters at any given point in fucking
Like
time.
a good artist, though, you know.
Yeah, no, my edgiest character was definitely the first character I ever played in that Dungeons and Dragons campaign, because his name was Durandal, and he was essentially guts. He had sharp, spiky armor. And like my favorite part about him and why he was so edgy was like, dude, I want to ride a unicorn and have a giant glass sword.
Oh my god.
It's the coolest sounding thing I've ever heard. And like he was just everything that like your high school boy who watched anime like was super into. It was ridiculous how edgelord I got with him. It was like, I'm pretty sure at one point I tried to make the case that he was a fallen angel.
Oh man.
Like, yeah, he was so fucking cool. Everything was cool about Durandal.
Love him.
It wasn't good edgy like what you described.
No, it's
Bullshit
No.
edgy.
Far worse.
edgy.
It was Dave edgy, and that's
Yeah,
fine.
It was high school Dave edgy.
Ooh,
I
we
think-
gotta love it.
I think for mine, you think I'm going to say Knox, but I'm pretty sure it's Caleb from Kids on Bikes. And that was kind of on accident because I like didn't, that was my first TTRPG. So I thought we had to like prepare and like be ready for crap and not just improv and everything. So like Caleb would pick up knives or whatever he needed to defend himself against whatever oncoming thing was going to happen.
Oh, like a
You stabbed
Skyrim.
the security guard.
Yeah, I stabbed a security guard because I was playing what I thought was like Pathfinder.
Really
You know, like,
edged
oh,
him
you have to
on.
prepare. And yeah, you have to
Ooh.
do things. Yeah. So he ended up accidentally being edgy, but it wasn't really, he started out, he was just a kid with like a sock puppet that he was like really emotionally attached to. And that was it. Like he was quirky. He wasn't supposed to be edgy, but then he just turned into this monster. I don't even play as him anymore because I'm like, yeah, I didn't play him right. He wasn't fun or anything like that.
You just gotta play like the younger sibling.
Yeah, I was learning again.
Thanks. I took over Caleb. That was the
Did
role
you?
of you playing Augie. Yeah.
Nice.
Amazing.
I don't know. Edgy's character, like, I didn't play in high school. That would have been when I made something really edgy.
Damn.
Maybe like maybe Jarav, he didn't act edgy, but he was a Dampier hungry ghost monk. So instead of drinking blood, he took people's energy. So that was the class from Pathfinder. So like class wise and like appearance wise, he was probably pretty edgy. But he didn't do like I was a GM, so I kind of just went with whatever you guys did, except that one time I ate a person.
It was that.
The casual cannibalism is fine.
Yeah, you know.
Beyond that, I don't know if there's any other real edgy characters I played that I can think of.
It's funny
Uh,
how we all
Maybe
had a
Tobias,
different-
maybe?
Yeah, I was about
Dimitri
to say.
from season 2 of Urban Shadows was pretty edgy. We didn't really
He
get
was
to meet him
little
a
edgy.
whole lot.
Yeah, he didn't have a whole lot to like. He was more. Yeah, he didn't get into it. He would have been a little less edgy. Looks wise, he was edgy, but
Yeah.
feel like
not personality.
Tobias is.
Tobias is.
Yeah, because he's like the
Tobias is
quiet, like weird
really
shadow
quiet
almost.
loner, emo. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tobias is probably.
But I don't know if that's because we all forgot, including you, that he was around and then
That's what I
remembered.
wanted him to be. I wanted him to be like the super quiet one who was just there and like occasionally would say things.
He was
That
good.
was.
That was
I
a good
liked him like that.
campaign, though. It was fun.
I'm glad that we all had a different definition of edgy. That's
Yeah.
actually super interesting because I was assuming everyone was going to say something fucking stupid like what I said.
we
None
don't
of us
sink
can
that low.
say anything as stupid as you can, though, Dave.
Yep.
So don't
You
worry
got us
about
beat
it.
there every time.
Every
Oh,
single time.
Dave, you know you're the king of stupid.
Yeah.
So kind of to piggyback off of that, what are some favorite moments, either as a player or a GM, and you can answer both, actually, because we've all run at least one game, a favorite moment in a game you were a player and a favorite moment as a GM person running a game.
That's a good one.
Well, I have a short list, so I could probably answer first
Go for it.
because everybody else has a way longer list. So think about it as I make a dumb answer. But my favorite GM experiences, there's only one to work with for me. I ran a Teens in Space episode where basically the teens were going through, they were in like a solar system that involved basically all the children's TV shows I was forced to watch with my two kids. And at one point they ended up on a grass planet that orbited a sun very closely that had 4 little color-coded creatures on it. So Teletubbies, essentially, like that. That whole sequence was hilarious. It came out way better than I anticipated. Like, like I had set it up in a way that one of the characters speaks Russian or uses the same body language that Ty's character plays as, and Ty, for some reason, decided not to go along. And I'm like, well, we're already rolling. So like, here we go.
It's live. We can't stop.
He went along. Jason had a horrible experience with the thing that kind of looked like a cow. And then that's the scene where like the flute came into play. These characters were dying and they're like, give me my flute. Ha ha. And it's like this, it's not just a flute, it's like a little lumpy and
Isn't it
like
limp?
floppy. Yeah, limp. It's not like a rigid flute.
Limp flute. You hate it when your flute goes limp.
Yeah, exactly. It was gross.
It was so good.
Hilarious.
It's the best.
And I had a great time just doing that. And as far as a player goes, now that I have a longer list to choose from, I want to say it's funny because like there's a lot. Like pretty much any moment with Jack Hooper, I really enjoyed. That whole session for some reason was just fucking hilarious. But one of my favorite ones was a turn where it was the second one you ran where Wink was in it, Dave.
Trail of the Beast.
Yes, and I had not liked Wink that much because again, he was an early character I made that I didn't really get how to play, so I'm like, oh, I'd just rather move on and stick with my more fun characters. But during that session, I started to like Wink more.
Wait, are you talking about Home Sweet and Home?
Yes.
When you're in the Swedish Alps? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It was just something quick that happened where I mentioned he got trapped on a gondola for like a month and a half with a rabid fox or whatever, and it changed who he was entirely. And then the whole time he thought that Everett was like hitting on him, but he was like aggressively like hitting on him back, kind of. It was super weird, but I loved it.
I love that Everett and Wink basically got cabin fever, and now they're completely different characters because they've both gone insane.
Yeah, it made that character like I would play as Wink again now because I like him now. He makes more sense to me.
Good, because there's 2 more scenarios than that one coming up someday. I got my favorite moment as a player. I'll have to think about my favorite moment as a GM, so I'll let somebody go by that. But one of my favorite moments as a player that's a bit more like hidden, I guess, from the MMS is because it was when I was playing a Curse of Straw Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and I was playing as this character named Dwight, and he was a halfling barbarian who was lawful good. And the way I made him lawful good,
to be in Strahd.
It's so good because the best part about him was that the reason he was lawful good is because he based everything in his life off of this traveling, essentially a TV show, but it was a traveling play group called what's it called? Donan the Barbarian. So like this show had like a moral at the end of every episode, and like he was an uber fan of the show, and he based his entire life on the show, and he wanted to like recreate Donan and be Donan as like good as humanly possible. And there was this moment where we were in this dungeon and we were pilfering some stuff, and somebody found a silver sword, and I found the silver sword and I picked it up. I was like, oh, we can't take this when we can't let this fall into the wrong hands, because what if a child takes it? You know what Donan says, you can't just leave weapons lying around and stuff like that. So then my friend, who is the bard, tried to convince me, oh wait, no, you can't just I was about to throw it in a like just kind of throw it away or something. And he's like, no, you can't just get rid of it. Remember Donan episode 70, 75 or something like that? And I was like, oh, I remember Donan episode 75. And I walked over to a well and I just threw it in the well. And I was like, yeah, you know, the episode where Donan finds the sword in the well and then it turns out it was evil, so we should leave it alone. And then they made me go in the well again. Because the silver sword is like super valuable in a campaign full of fucking werewolves.
Yeah, it's very important.
But like just that awesome character moment where they thought they were getting me, but then I just did my goody two shoe thing, and it was really good. I love Duran; he was the best. Or Duran, what was his name? Dwight.
Duran.
All of my D&D fantasy characters have a D name, which I did on purpose for a while, and then did on accident for our upcoming Alora's Peak campaign, because originally my name was going to be like Elone or something like that.
Yeah.
But then I got a text from a bot that accidentally called me Decker. And I was like, sorry, I think you have the wrong number. And then it turns out there's like, oh, now I'm a bot. And do you want to sign up for some porn website or something? I was like, no. But then as I deleted it, I was like, Decker's a really cool fucking name.
That's the name of the guy from
AI
Blade Runner.
A little bit, yeah.
It's also the name of one of the AIs from oops. It's Not Until Dawn. Detroit Become Human. There it is.
And
that's on
it's
purpose.
close to Diablo, which is Deckard Cain, but
there it is.
Yeah. But I was just like,
I feel like
Decker's such
the
a
AI
good
one
It's a
definitely from Blade Runner. That makes sense. And Detroit Become Human because it's Blade Runner in reverse.
But yeah, I'll think about my favorite GM one because there's so many good ones.
A lot. You've run a lot of games.
It's usually stuff you guys did too that just surprised me. Like it's not like something I did. Well, I don't know. I guess I have some scary moments that I did, especially in Seventh Circle.
That could be another question. What's your favorite moment for someone else?
Yeah, you can answer it in whatever way. Like if it's something that you personally did, like Tom's terrible acid trip planet time, that's great. But also if it's something that like, you know, you as a facilitator enabled to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened in a game that you were a GM of. That's also an acceptable answer.
Well, Ty, you go first.
I'll have to think about GMing because I've GM'd a lot more than I've played.
Yeah, sure have.
Player-wise, playing-wise, I think my favorite, I probably have two. I think my favorite moments were the Urban Shadows, the end of my first character. Was very, very enjoyable. It was me and Matthew's characters like killing each other.
Yeah, it was so. I was gonna put that up as like one of your iconic moments in my head of like, God, that sucked.
It was good. No, like we knew, we talked about it ahead of time. We knew I was probably gonna die, but still, like the way it happened, and like even there were things I didn't expect in the moment that happened that were cool. That was one of my favorites. Or there was a scene in Dragon Heisters, which I did run, but I don't know if I was just playing at the time or it was just a scene where we're all playing, where Maria's character was just introduced as my sister, and everyone was discussing whether or not we trusted my sister. And like everyone thought my character was going to say yes, and I said no. And like it was a really rough scene.
It was very good though, because like I also was expecting you to say like, oh yeah, sure, why not? And you're like, nah, I don't know you. Like, who are you? Oh, you just destroyed my hopes and dreams. Well, that's great.
Yeah, like after your character had been searching for me like as
literally for like their entire life.
I don't even know who you are.
That's literally how it went, and it was very tragic.
It was a good moment.
That's
the
good
follow-up scene to that was also very good.
Yeah,
like when
that was a very good campaign.
Yeah, it was good.
Social campaign.
Yeah. One of my favorite player moments. I have a couple, which is not surprising. One of them is from a game of Cypher that I was in, and I bring it up every opportunity that I possibly can, because it was one of those moments that I and my character bled together so much that I couldn't tell the difference in that moment. It was a game, it was called Project VHS. It was literally about broken people sent to the farthest reaches of space to confront actual like aliens, in a sense, that were kind of like styled after demon lords from like like actual demon lords, like from like demonology and stuff. Like it was very, very cool and super esoteric and stuff. But also we had to face like our inner demons, such as like my character was playing, or I was playing as a character whose husband had passed away 5 years prior to this space journey and was dealing with like the survivor's guilt and like all this sort of stuff that went along with it, plus some other things. And they had the opportunity to speak with the actual spirit of their dead husband. And that was a lot. It was a lot to deal with in the moment, but it was kind of like what Ty said when you and Matthew and Taryn, who was running the game, talked about like, hey, you're probably gonna die. You're probably gonna die this time. We had those talks of like, hey, you're gonna have to confront this thing that you've been running from for 5 years. And like had the moment of like the emotional impact of being able to talk to someone who you didn't get a chance to say goodbye to and then be able to apologize and then say goodbye to in like a real way. I cried real hard. It was a lot of very real tears, and it wasn't like, for the half of it I was like, this is acting and this is really good acting, I'm doing very good. There was like one line that was said and then I was just broken, just a broken human being for like 5 minutes. It was a very good time. But one of my favorite GM moments was actually, I'm gonna use one that's very, very recent because I have a home campaign, a D&D campaign. And generally speaking, I try to incorporate or look for moments that you can just throw rules out and it doesn't matter. What matters more is like the cinematic like story framing. There's sometimes
that's basically how I do it all.
Yeah. But it was D&D, and it was essentially one of my players. He was part of this like underground resistance group, and he had been building up this resistance for years, and he left to like start this literally start this campaign. That's where his character started the campaign, and had been gone for a couple of months. And while he was gone, someone in the resistance had been sabotaging it from the inside. That had been like a mole and reporting to like the ruler and everything that they were trying to usurp. So when he came back to the city with the rest of the party to be like, hey, we're gonna do it, we're gonna beat the bad guy, everything started falling apart, and they had to confront this person in the rain while this part of the city was on fire, and had to essentially stop them vis-a-vis killing them. And it was like one of those like anime moments that was so cool, and I will never be able to do it again because everything just lined up so perfectly. And I was like, I had this inspirational monologue and everything, and it was perfect. It's never gonna happen again.
I'm gonna be chasing that dragon for the rest of my life.
Ram right into that dungeon with that dragon.
I think the most anime moment I've ever run was fucking Lux getting into a sniper battle with a dude riding a submarine.
Yeah, a sniper battle with a sniper dude
also,
on the back of the thing.
Cyberpunk was just full of like every anime moment I've wanted to reenact since high school. It's like, two people rappelling from one building to another while shooting at a bunch of armed guards is fucking kick-ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then like cut away to like the super sad, somber like side story of like Christmas sucks and here's why.
That's something I really appreciate.
Those scenes are very good.
That's anime, baby.
It's anime. That's what it is.
Those scenes are very good, and I feel bad for being Kip in those same scenes.
But that's what I love though, is that like when Emma and I started playing with all of y'all, like we knew what kind of players that you all were, and we're like, all right, now
we're gonna bring the story.
we're gonna bring, and y'all get to partake as well. You get to participate and also be some serious boys every once in a while. Not all the time, just every once in a while.
That's something I actually wanted to applaud you for, and truly say that I appreciate your level of role playing and how you manage to bring like a level of sincerity and like seriousness and acting to it. And you do manage to draw it out of people too. Like I love the silly and stuff like that, but like there's definitely like a tonal difference between me running Seventh Circle and me running Cyberpunk, which is like, but that's kind of to be expected. Cyberpunk can be a little bit more silly. Like we had a fucking guy dressed up in a pig costume with chains all over him using a minigun on top of a like goddamn truck in our last section.
Sure did.
There was even a punch in the nuts joke. Like that's how Cyberpunk gets sometimes. But like Seven Circle has had some of my moments, but it kind of to bring me back to like what my favorite moment GMing was has basically been both Fear itself scenarios and just anytime I've managed to get a visceral reaction from you guys. Because like, holy crap, I love the reactions that I get when I freak the fuck out of you.
It's so good. It's so scary. Y'all, you can watch Fear itself. It's on Mythos Mystery Society YouTube channel. It's also podcasted, but watching it is so good.
Yeah. I've added some visual trickery to the latest stuff too to make it even funnier to watch. And
so
stuff.
scared.
I love Seven Circle.
I just want to add to what Dave was saying, Maria. The first time anybody has ever had a serious moment in anything I have ever played was you, and it was in Cyberpunk, and you were talking to somebody who was in a jail cell. I forget.
I was talking to Suki, who was Zed's
and I was like joking around the whole time, and then I muted myself. I'm like, oh shit, this is like a serious scene.
What the fuck?
Where the hell did this come from?
You know what's cool about that scene?
Not seen that.
What's cool about that scene is that also may have been the first time that I really got to throw my serious acting chops. I feel like Seven Circle, I really kind of doubled down on Melanie being super serious and stuff like that, but also having that edge of like humor that I always kind of bring.
Melanie is literally to slightly tangent. Melanie is literally the only humor in that, besides like kind of Jason's character, but only because he's like super oblivious to everything. But like that's needed as an aside.
Yeah, I liked because I wanted well, I guess I can't really talk too much about this because you're still in the middle of that.
Yeah.
But like I really love Melanie as a character. She's great. And Victoria's hysterical, or Veronica, whatever the fuck her name is.
Valerie.
No, that's seriously part of her character is I can't remember her name, so I call her some other V name every single time I bring her up, but she's like a ghost.
It's not the same one from the Reefer Madness, is it?
No, it's just a flaw Dave has.
Yeah,
Dave,
he cannot remember
names. Veronica and Victoria keep getting messed up in my head, and I can't.
That cannot be patched.
That was a fun campaign. I liked being Randall.
Oh yeah, I think we got to do Reefer Madness 3 sometime. I guess as a teaser. The first one was about drugs. The second one's about sex. The third one's going to be about rock and roll.
The second one starts. Me and Chris say things we probably should not have said. Like right off the bat.
You guys made me test the limits of the censor bar. But
you
it
should not
so
have made
funny.
it about sex.
This
is your
is
fault.
on you.
It
Look,
blew
this
up
might
on
be
you
this might be the last time that we stream. But yeah, no, I wanted to have the theme going of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but I kind of did it out of order on it.
Hey, this is great because I just bought a rock and roll wig. So I'll save that for that.
Yeah, I just got to figure out.
I'll wear eyeshadow and everything.
I just played at Gen Con. They came from beyond the grave, which is kind of like Die Laughing with a little bit more steroids pumped into it. So like deeper rules, but still like you can still every time you fail get producer points, and you're able to use those to like we fade to black and suddenly we're out of the situation. We don't know how we did it. And stuff like, and then when you cut back, you're just like, God, I don't know how we ever would have done it without toothpaste with flavor gels inside of it. Or so, I don't know how you do something like that, but like I'm thinking I'm gonna run Reefer Madness in that one.
GM wise, I think humor wise, I think the funniest moment was watching the Jack Hooper and Christine, because I knew the secret. It's just watching a train wreck in slow motion.
But within like the first 10 minutes, it felt like of the show was like instantly like, hey.
I thought it was gonna come out on the spaceship, but it's like the bar before you go to space.
What's even great is Chris didn't know I did know the secret.
Yeah. Chris's secret was specifically you don't think he knows.
It was perfect.
Just like watching it as it like knowing the secrets as a GM, like, oh my god.
I fought so hard, and I did successfully avoided laughing my butt off just saying that stuff.
You were the only one who made it.
Yeah, I was like, I said it, and I'm like, I'm still there. And I had that mustache.
Yeah,
so
you had the
luckily
fake
it covered-
mustache.
And how
really
it
high.
helped a lot.
Unhinged.
Oh my
My favorite serious moment would probably be a lot of things from Hush Hollows, the campaign we do
Mhm.
on Dice Prairie. There's a lot of good, more serious moments that I just enjoy. I don't know if there's any that pop off, but just I think as a campaign, it's one of the few like campaigns I'm going to run to beginning to end in a swoop, which will be nice.
Mhm.
And some of the endings where I like was able to incorporate audio, I really enjoyed. Like Chris coming back was probably one of my favorite moments.
The terrible whispers. Those are very.
That was good
very
too. That was a good
Very
one
good.
too.
One of my honorable mentions, and I'm gonna put a, I don't know what category this falls under, but there was a Monster Hearts game that Ty ran that I was in. There was two of them specifically that were very different. One of them was at Gen Con in 2019, played at 1 a.m. in the morning with like 8-9 of us. Just were like, hey, let's play Monster Hearts, and Ty said, okay, and came up with something in 30 minutes, and it was nothing but everything. And it was very, very silly, and we laughed a whole lot. Cut to, like, not too terribly long after that, where Ty ran another Monster Hearts game. And it was supposed to be, I don't know what it was supposed to be, but it turned into basically like Riverdale teen murder party.
Nice.
Where I played the most out of character I think I've ever played in my life, and it was like Nadia Hawthorne was the worst person in the world.
That was a lot of real bad characters.
There was
in
a
that
lot
campaign.
of very terrible characters.
That was a campaign, not a one shot. That's what I think that's what set it apart.
Yeah, that also, yes.
Yeah,
but
it
was that was a memorable game, regardless of how of like what it was. Memorable is the word for it.
Yeah.
I love Monster Hearts. It's so fucking.
I
I don't know if I played it wrong or if I played it too
Well,
right.
here's no. Monster Hearts is like definitely best in my well, it's not best. It can be played in one of two ways. It can be played how we played it on Mythos Mystery Society, where it's very silly and you can fuck Santa Claus.
I was just about to ask, is this the game you guys fuck Santa Claus in?
This is where your brother fucks Santa Claus, yes.
It was
every
my
time,
goal
every
from
game.
the outset, ever
it
since it was posed as a possibility, it was my goal from there on.
You as a fish boy fuck Santa Claus. Or it can be what we did, which is sex is used as a weapon, and it's actually about the drama that happens around the sex. And then you start a bonfire and you kill someone, and then a lot of people, and then it's fine.
There's like I find it as like the convention type of Monster Hearts, and then like the actual like playing a game of Monster Hearts.
Wait, so you're not supposed to fuck Nta Claus in
You're
supposed
in the convention ones, yeah.
He's a married man.
Like,
He's married man.
Not
one of our comments, Andrew's dark power was Rasputin, and Rasputin just showed up, and that's one of the first times he used that Russian accent.
Too?
Yeah.
No, it didn't fuck him. He was just around. He teleported some character to a different time period.
That still has one of my favorite improv.
That's amazing.
One of my
he teleported and he watched us bang.
It's fine.
One of my favorite improv moments was in Monster Hearts when it was me as Ishmael and you as my cousin Ahab, and Ahab was just taking a bath and we're having a casual conversation. That should be weird if you're watching your cousin nakedly take a bath, but then like we're both deep ones, so we're both like half fish, and then you mentioned that Ahab like flips over in the bath and I was like, Jesus Christ, I can see your dorsal fin.
What a team those two were.
It was so good. I loved Ahab. Man. He was the dirty cousin. The best dirty cousin.
Oh gosh.
So we've spouted a lot of games that people might be familiar with, like Monster Hearts or Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder and all that stuff. What are some games that either you have played that are not necessarily as like largely known, or that you want to play, or that you wish more people played? All of the above. Any of the above.
Oh, I like weird which one I've played, because I played like a lot of one shots. I played one at the most recent Gen Con that was called All Flesh Must Be Eaten, which was just fucking weird. But the best part about it is that you made up your own stats, and like people had stats and stuff like queer magic or panic. Or one guy was basically role playing as a mom, like a mid what's it called? Midwestern
Like
suburban
suburban
house mom. And like all of his stats were so I'm gonna roll this, but I get +5 because I know what's best. And like just stuff like that. And it's just like it just every time somebody brought up like what they were like rolling, it was just the funniest thing in the universe. Because it was always stuff like I was just like, I have a +6 in Duran, so can I like
Only in
so
this
good.
only in this show can you hear Duran mentioned twice.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah, All Flesh Must Be Eaten has a really wacky like stat system that I kind of love. And that was a game that had like 35 people in it. Like it's a big convention game. But yeah, it was really funny.
I really like The Company, which you at the time of this will have seen the interview with Logan Dean was last week, but Company is great. It's horror, but it's also has the potential to be very silly, like a silly kind of horror. I played a grimdark, like I ran a grimdark kind of campaign, but it's like if you parallel it with like I'm sorry, but if you parallel it with like paranoia or anything like that, in that kind of like French computer and The Company kind of mentality, it has the potential to be like wonderfully good, silly, dark humor horror kind of thing.
It definitely had that really good like corporate satire thing going for it that Paranoia also does really well, where it's just like and you have overlords that you just have to listen to, and it's like they might kind of kill you.
It's also like very small, like they're just zines, they're just very, very small, like pamphlet, like employee handbooks. It's literally called an employee handbook. So like it's super good, and more people need to play it. Like do it, please. just do it. You have no excuse.
I'm sorry that I turned your Grimdark Company campaign into us talking about X-rated movie remakes.
I loved it.
Because we turned E.T. into an X movie. We were talking about reviews about the E.T. X-rated remake.
Yep.
I forgot what other ones. I think we had a Titanic X-rated remake that we talked about for a little bit too. Because it was like in the future, all movies are remade, but they're all X-rated.
But they're all like super horny. Yeah.
That we played that I think were a little more obscure. I love playing Alora's Peak with all. The Quiet Year, which turned into Alora's Peak with all you guys. That was a really cool. I like that everyone contributed. Everyone went in different directions. I enjoy seeing stuff like that. That was cool.
Blowers, though.
The blowers. What's in the blower box?
That's all in on that.
It was grenades was the answer.
I'm a little disappointed. I didn't want an answer. I don't think any answer was.
That episode happened.
We had to. By the rules, we had to.
That episode happened during the writer's strike, so it's
I think it should have been like Pulp Fiction. It should have been like Pulp Fiction, where somebody opens it and all you see is a light, and then they shut it, and you don't know what's in it.
But actual gameplay wise, I would do more of, and I really enjoyed City of Mist. That was one of my favorites.
Yes.
I loved playing City of Mist. Really cool. I love Noah. He was probably one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, very engaging gameplay. I loved City of Mist.
Oh god, that spirals back around to edgy characters. I would say Noah is one of your like edgiest characters in like a if you want to use like
the real definition of edgy that actually is honorable and not shit.
Honorable.
Then
honorable edgy.
Oh no, you know who
edgy.
is?
Lawful edgy, honorable edgy.
It's not Noah. It's not Definitely Kenny.
Yes,
absolutely Kenny from Delta Green, who is fucking like Delta Green is turning him into the worst person.
The worst person. Absolutely amazing.
I killed a dude.
You killed it, dude. You did it.
And in Delta Green.
Noah was good edgy.
Noah was really good. Noah just had a lot of problems.
Noah was like scary. Film noir detective. Like
I ate Geppetto's head.
Yeah.
The very same.
Maria's character from that. I don't remember your character's name, but I really liked your character.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't remember their name either, but being like the magic mirror or whatever it was.
That was really cool.
Yeah, your mythos in that game really opened my like eyes to what you could do with the mythos in those games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then like Ty revealing like, oh, the bad guy was the bad guy. I don't think he was bad.
He was actually not bad.
But he's dead now. So
we were dead? Is that us?
But just the fact that he was as Geppetto and like from Pinocchio and stuff like that. It's like that's cool. Like it's cool that like you can be the magic mirror from
I was the magic
Snow White,
mirror
right?
from- yeah.
Yeah, and it's like
who
that's
could
cool.
like
Shrek.
see through
From
from
Shrek.
Shrek, yeah, who could like see through time and dimensions and stuff like that. But you could like I was almost part of another one where like somebody was playing Excalibur.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Which is very
Somebody on Twitter mentioned I want to play as Gritty.
Yeah, so fucking so good.
If
The
Gritty
mythos
can
of
be a
Gritty.
cryptid, can I be Gritty? The mythos of Gritty. What mascot is he even like?
Philadelphia, isn't it?
Yeah.
I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
Philadelphia Flyers.
Like,
I hate
that's
them
really
so much.
Tom,
You
are
heard
there
it here,
any-
folks. If you're
Yeah.
a fan of the Philadelphia Flyers, you can go fuck yourself. Maria, can you
Oh, no.
scratch that from the record? Actually, don't.
But don't, no, we're taking a hard line.
Yeah.
Right?
Hard
Our
line
line
right
here, Gritty's cool, but the Flyers can suck.
Tom,
Gritty
to save this conversation, are there any games that you've seen played or heard about that you're like, yeah, that would be really cool to play, or that you maybe have dabbled in?
No, I'm kind of I kind of play what you guys are playing for the most part, and I enjoy most of them. But I don't really have any that I've like seen that I'm like, oh, I wish I could play that, because I don't know the inner workings of them typically. So I like to watch the performances, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on. I don't know like what system that involves or anything like that. I'm a noob as far as that goes. But I do say that the one I always tend to fall back on that I love is Teens in Space and Kids on Bikes
pretty
too.
good.
That one's a lot
Yeah.
of fun too.
I
Actually,
think,
Die
it's a-
Laughing, I wouldn't mind playing more of. I actually bought the booklet for that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
great.
'cause
Here's
that
a
was
fun
super
game.
Very
fun.
good. Yeah.
Here's a fun
Yeah.
game we could play.
That's
for
the
Tom.
only time I've ever had a character die, and I really didn't know that was like supposed to happen. And so I fought against it for a little while until I was like, oh wait, I think I am supposed to die in this.
Supposed to die
I
laughing.
liked
It's right
that
there in the
character.
title.
I liked
No,
it.
it's funny because I couldn't kill you in Reefer Madness because you were too you were an audience favorite, and I feel like I personally would die if I killed you in Reefer Madness. So I was just like, I can't kill this character off. He's too good. But here's a
Randall.
fun game we could play for Tom. What systems have you played that you think Tom would love? I could go first. You'd
Ooh.
love Paranoia.
1000%.
Okay.
You were
Yeah.
made
Yeah,
for paranoia.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't want-
100% made for paranoia.
Which games have you played that were in Paranoia?
I
Was it
can
literally
go
just
backwards.
called Paranoia?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
the name
we've
of
done
the
a
system.
couple.
Yeah, we
on
did 3 of
Mythos
them.
Mystery Society. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the is that the one where you get like multiple clones of yourself?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw you guys play that, and I'm like, this sounds really fun.
It's
Yeah, you would love that. It's sci-fi.
so
It's silly.
wonderful.
It's stupid.
Yeah, I
like-
lean sci-fi for some bizarre reason.
Well, I wonder why that could be.
Yeah. No, I feel like I get it.
Yeah. I think it would depend. Here's a clarifying question for Tom. Is I know you tend to lean towards the like comedic, which is totally fine.
I just don't know how to do the other shit.
Okay, that's what I was gonna
That
ask.
other shit.
If you were
guys
given the
do.
opportunity to do something that was more intentionally serious.
I'm wondering if I could pull it off. I think it's one of those like I'm scared to act serious.
Okay. So I have a perfect solution. There is a text-based TTRPG called Alice is Missing
Oh,
That's a great one.
Interesting.
that I think you would
Great one.
be. 'cause
Yeah,
it
if I
doesn't
write
involve-
it out, I can do
Yeah,
serious.
it's
I think.
literally
I
text
traumatize people.
conversation. Yeah, it's you don't have any experience with that. We'll get to why in a second. But yeah, it's a text-based GM-less TTRPG where you play as a group of friends, and your friend Alice has gone missing.
and you're
Mm.
pretending
it's
to
literally-
text each other
it's
about
literally
the
like-
mysteries and
Yeah,
stuff.
because like you can play it in the same like space, literally on your phones, texting each other.
Ah.
I'd use it over Discord, so you have like a group text thread, and then you have individual conversations with other people, about different secrets that you have, and
think
like
I
the
could
interpersonal relationships and everything like that.
Yeah, that sounds like I could take that seriously, and I take these seriously. Ryan, our one fan, caught on to my nuance. By the way,
This is
there is a
correct.
method to my weirdness.
Yeah, well, there is always like that's the thing
Yeah.
that I have noticed with like all of you. For some in some games, is that you have like, it's funny, it's ridiculous, it's hilarious, but a lot of the times your characters are fully fleshed characters. Like they have reasons for why they're doing the ridiculous things that they're doing. They're not just like, ha ha, I'm here for laughs, ha ha.
I'm usually thinking of the arc. Like even as ridiculous, like Jack Hooper has an arc, as stupid as he is. Like he's divorced. He hates his like partner, who he's like worked with forever, Dan Hamlet, and he can't trust him, and he knows about this thing going on behind his back. And at the he hates him in the beginning, and then when his Dan Hamlet's life is in danger, he makes the decision to try and help him survive and everything. Like there is an arc there. It's stupid, but there is an arc.
Yeah. Then he wakes up in an Aldi's shopping.
He goes from being respected.
Like 2 a.m. I worked all day.
Respected commander in NASA goes to Aldi's bagger, which there aren't even Aldi's baggers, which is the best part of that. I didn't know that. That was a happy accident for me. That they gave him a pity job.
They made the job for you.
I think a text-based version of that, I could definitely do like a more serious role.
One of my favorite things about Alice is Missing, just a side rant, was really playing into the fact that you were pretending you were texting. So there's like really great moments where you can be like, you just don't respond for a little bit. So then you're pretending you're actually physically doing something in the real world while you're not responding. Or you could do cool bullshit like what I did, which was like, user disconnected, or your call could not be processed, and I just write that in when I was like something super tense was coming up.
Well,
what's like, oh shit.
What's really great is in programs like if you do Facebook Messenger or something like that, where you can see when someone is typing towards you, like typing. Or I guess it technically does. It does in Discord. Yeah. You can see when people are typing. So like you can see, if you're like typing something out and somebody, deletes it, and then they're typing something out and they delete it, and then all they send is like an emoji or like a K or something like that. You're like,
there's more.
Yeah, or like you can send something. And then like in Facebook Messenger, you can delete messages and it'll tell you that somebody deleted something, which is fantastic.
It's so good to just play with the fact that it's a text message string and just like really.
I'm glad you pitched this to me as a thing I could potentially take seriously, because if you didn't say I should take it seriously, I would be like, oh, I'm a guy who only talks with emojis. Like I would be that.
Yeah. Well, there are like options to play as like, the one who makes jokes to try to deal with this terrible situation that's happening.
I think that's who I played.
That I could potentially.
Yeah,
you did. Yeah.
So
it's very
interesting.
Good.
Yeah, cool.
It's very good. Yeah.
It's a kick-ass game.
I will run it. I will run it for you.
We're
going to do it again.
Tom, if you want to see what we play, I guess maybe don't if we're going to play it.
If you're going to play it, don't.
Yeah, but we do have the archive of our actual game on Discord, because you can't record it really, because it's all visual media.
It's very challenging to record. Like
you need like really
the production behind it is a lot.
Yeah, got great
possible,
music.
but it's a lot.
It's got a whole soundtrack.
Fantastic soundtrack.
So it's gonna happen. Oh, wow. It's gonna happen here and now. We're putting it in. We're putting in the real world. I'm gonna run it for you, Tom, and other people.
Would it be fun for you guys to play it twice?
I have played it literally dozens of times.
Really? Okay. Yes. So it is.
It's got like a card system that sort of randomizes it every time.
Yeah, you play different characters, and I think Maria has the expansion or like a prototype.
There's like a beta for the expansion that's coming out that
I'd probably play with the expansion. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, it was a really unique experience for sure.
Yeah, because it's a mixture of world building and character creation and all that sort of stuff all rolled up into.
And it gets so fucking sad.
It gets so fucking sad.
Especially because you have to record a message, like voice record a message to Alice in the beginning of the game before anything happens. And depending on how things go, that message might be innocent and fun and cute, or the saddest thing in the universe, because they play it at the end of the game. You record it before the game begins and you play it at the end of the game. So it's like, depending on what happened, it's
context makes it key. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. Okay, right, I'm so excited. I'm so excited now. I'm pumped. Ty,
awesome.
What game
Yeah.
would you suggest to Tom to play
Uh,
as a game newbie?
You should play this game I heard of called He Should Go Fuck Himself.
Yeah, he should eat a Dirk.
This called Tom Does Die.
Take it seriously.
Grow up, Tom.
Grow up, you piece
It's a
of
game called
shit.
Adulthood. Stop playing. It's a game actually. It's a game actually. I don't think we haven't played yet, but I think we will all do well, and especially Tom. Is Down Darker Trails for Call of Cthulhu?
Oh yeah,
because like
Ooh.
Is that
Wild
the one
West
Chris wants
and
to
it's-
run?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's Wild
nice,
West
okay.
and
Weird
that,
West
you know.
one.
Yeah, I already
West, yeah.
thought of the character I want to play as.
Yeah, I think that would be-
I'm
yeah.
the son of an undertaker who's forced to become the next undertaker in that family line, but he doesn't want. He wants to put his own flair on undertaking, so he like dresses up the body really weird, and he's like, "You just don't understand me, Dad."
It's nice to know that you'll be taking
that will
this
be your
game
interest
seriously.
character.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm ready. That's
I
my
think that would be
serious
very
character.
Does anybody have any other questions that they want to posit to the group? The floor is open. Take
What's
it.
your
or leave it.
favorite thing when you were
Ever.
a player? What's your favorite thing? No, what's your
What's
favorite
your
thing
thing?
as a
I like my
player
kids.
that any one of the GMs here did? So when you were playing and say Ty was GMing a game, what was the coolest like moment that you felt in that game?
Coolest or
only-
just favorite, like in general?
A
Just
favorite.
a
Yeah,
favorite.
it doesn't
A
matter.
cool or
Cool.
favorite or
Could be
whatever.
fucking stupid.
Yeah. I've only ever played under Dave and Ty. Tom, we should change this someday. Someday.
Yeah.
You're gonna play under. You've by this point have played a game under me.
Yeah,
So
I
now-
played under you, and it was pretty cool.
And I'm sure it was great.
Yeah, it was
Sure,
weird
it was
when Ty died in real life, though.
Yeah.
While we
We
were
had to go-
playing it.
We had to go back and bring it back.
Yeah,
Um,
all Ty's footage for this interview was pre-recorded. We miss you, buddy. Let's see. Good question.
It's a thinker. It's a
Hmm.
thinker.
It's a good.
I mean, I've only done one game under Tom, so I think my favorite one under Tom would be probably the Jerry Jerboa scene was probably the best. That was probably the best.
Yeah.
That was
The
gotta be it.
introduction of Godfrey Goose who
Yeah,
had a
that
way
was-
different voice than I pictured in
I
my head. It was like Donald Duck if he grew up in like Queens or something.
Yeah, that was the best under Tom.
I don't even know if I can
Dave,
replicate it anymore.
what have you run other than
What have you
something?
done?
I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, have I played anything under you other than the company?
We played a whole.
Me-
Maria.
No,
I
under
thought you were talking about
Maria,
me.
yeah. You have the most, so I'm going to take time with you.
Ooh. Go nice.
I don't
and
think
slow.
so.
I'm gonna take one.
My favorite
I
time
think
with
it was
Ty
just
was
the
when he let
company.
me fuck Santa Claus.
Finally, dream
good.
realized.
My favorite part of if it was only the company for
think
you,
so.
Maria, then my favorite part was the one scientist who was like, I was trying to convince to like let us use the sub and then left and died, even though I wanted to go in the sub. I was trying to get my character killed and just couldn't do it.
Hey, if your character was dead though, then your other character
that's true.
in
Yeah.
Mothership wouldn't have
No,
showed up.
But that's actually my favorite part. I think as one of my favorite parts as a player is Mr. Magooing my way through the entire the company, today, trying to get my character killed, making stupid decisions, and just accidentally living because of rolls and like luck.
Because of RNG.
That's
I
perfect.
think my favorite time when Tom was playing, when he was the GM, was really fucking testing his GMing skills by when we were on the Teletubbies planet, being like, "Yeah, no, I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna send Jason."
Yeah, I was like,
and who was the other one? He was Jason and
it was
Chris,
Jason
I
and
Chris,
Chris,
wasn't
I
it?
think.
Yeah,
they had
and it was
to-
just like you were expecting it to be me because I can like translate languages. And like,
No,
nah.
it was Ty. It
And
was
me,
supposed
because
to
I
be
can
Ty.
speak the
'Cause
language if
literally
you want to go.
Yeah,
the one
no, I'm just-
Teletubby only speaks with the same body language that Ty does. I
Yeah,
like
but it was
set that
funny.
up for him.
Yeah, I
It was a
ruined it.
gift.
In no end
The
was my
best part
They
about
improv.
that
spat in
scene-
your face.
My favorite part about that scene was whenever you'd cut back to me and Rick Stoll sitting in front of this dying Teletubby. And
Yeah.
it's just like Cyrus with literally no emotions watching this Teletubby dying.
It was fading.
just looking
It's
at
a
it.
slow death. It's not like it was injured. It was fading from like exposure or something. So it was like it needed milk to survive.
Yeah, I was
The only way to get milk was to get it from this thing way off in the distance. Like from their perspective, when they first landed on the grass planet, it looked like a normal cow. But as they walked across this grassy valley, they realized the cow is staying the same size for the most part. So it's like this towering thing, and it's backwards. Like the back end of the cow is actually the front end of the cow, and the tail like rips open.
Like a horrifying.
Yeah, I made Jason milk it while Chris seduced it to calm it down. Yeah, it was a great time.
What a terrible television.
Yeah, that was Jason's first run on that too.
I just liked your reaction when I didn't let Rixtel and me go, because you're just like, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm like, you serious?
Yeah.
Now I'm
to bring that up again,
to this.
my favorite player moment is Ty and Chris when I gave them a ship to use. I gave it to them. It was theirs. It was floating there. I heavily hinted, hey, just get in. There's keys and it's open. And then they decided to do this awesome slingshot thing instead. On the ship, they were supposed to just fly.
Yeah, they just used the legs of the ship to use this as a
I was like, oh, this is working though. I'm like, it's cool. But I was like, please just get in the damn ship. That was that was great.
I think my favorite in general that Ty has done is not on Mythos Mystery Society. It's Hush Hollows. It's Monster of the Week. And it's just, I made a character and I was like, I don't know, I'm old. And turning it into this like this whole thing about like regaining memories and like reconnecting with lost like connections and realizing the importance of things. Like the whole thing as a package has been just impressive and amazing, and I have enjoyed every single second of it. Now Dave. Honestly,
I hate everything he runs.
I hate everything he runs. I think
quit.
one of the newer things that you've done that I've really enjoyed is in the Fear Itself games, where part of the and Ty, you did this a little bit too. Part of the episodes, you just have people take their headphones off who aren't in the room, who aren't privy to information, and we just have to sit there and be like, I wonder what they're talking about, and see facial journeys that are not good, because Fear Itself is very scary, and like that really made, when you're the one who's singled out of like, hey, it's your
yeah,
you want to have a bad
making
time?
You feel alone when you have to deal with the scariest parts.
Yes, it was at least
alone.
in those moments very poignant. But also being friend computer in Paranoia is always going to be my favorite thing now.
I think I was gonna say mine for Dave is either friend computer. I actually really like Scrubbot from the second one we did of Paranoia. Like,
you got him killed because nobody vouched for.
Yeah, the only good escort mission in anything was us and Scrubbot.
Oh no, we scrapped him. You didn't say that.
We didn't. We saved him until the end where it mattered.
But like us trying to convince him to be good, and just that whole journey was just very enjoyable.
No, I think that brings up a really good question. There is, who is the best NPC ever?
Oh,
wait, Dave, did you answer the last question?
I didn't. I was going to say, Ty, it's the time you let me flex it. No.
Exactly.
To be honest, me and you bouncing back and forth as Ahab and Ishmael was really funny. However, as far as like a cool thing that you did in Reverberations in Delta Green, when I'm running to try and save my friends and then I just lose all memory of everything that's happening because something fucking weird happens.
So good.
And then I'm just like, I guess I'll just go to my car. Oh shit, my friends are like, but just like having that kind of moment where I was just like, this is fucking like I sat there.
Weird.
Oh, that and in Kids on Bikes, the Halloween one, when I figured out that we're not allowed to talk about Caleb anymore.
Yeah,
like because I just brought it up as a funny joke or something, and then you're just like, oh, actually nobody has any memories of that. I was like, okay. I don't know what I was talking about. I guess fuck shit. Oh boy.
That's kind of what I was gonna say too. I really like the way you run kids on bikes, just in general. Like you can tell there's a care there for the town and the just the theme of it and everything. You really get it. And it's just fun to play as, Augie Doggy.
Yeah. It's fun to play. I like Kids on Bikes, Alexa. It's us definitely being goofy kids, and the kids don't care about the more serious stuff, but there is definitely serious stuff happening in the background that everyone like encounters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we are still, 8th graders or 7th graders who don't care about it.
Well, that and the reverse is they care way more about shit they shouldn't care about.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, and that's what, like, going to Funko Land became very
Getting the
important.
Genesis back,
Or getting the second Genesis back. I remember in the second one, it was like, can we just borrow your second Genesis? And that would have just killed the plot. It's like, shit, we're done. I guess we got it.
For Maria, when you ran it, I think Dirk's death was really cool because you made it super cinematic. There was like fire everywhere, and I was like dying as I killed this thing, and I was just like, I guess this is how it is. And then like I think like the list got like tossed out or something like as a door shut. And that's how Dirk died. And it was just like a really cool cinematic moment of me fighting essentially the thing. And then dying in a really cinematic way. It was really awesome. And then I'll have more moments because of Mythos Con. I remember that moment when we played Mothership where you gave me $1 million in real life because you said I needed it. I didn't know what you meant by that.
And then a gun.
And then an actual physical
a real life gun.
A real life
gun.
Real life weapon.
How many times have you guys died?
Our character deaths?
Yeah.
In real life.
In real life?
0.
every day.
Every day.
A little piece
hourly,
of me every day.
usually.
Okay, Dirk died. And then Dick did not die.
Dick
even though I tried my
die.
best.
God. We all wanted Dick to
Final
die.
girl, Dick Jerklin.
Dick Jerklin. Yep, Dick Jerklin.
I don't think die laughing counts.
Yeah, no, because you're basically
Well, if that
Sorry,
doesn't
Tom.
count, then I've never died.
Tom has never
I've
died in a
never
game.
died.
That's the only time.
I think only
It was
Dirk.
awful. I don't know how you guys do.
Darga definitely died in some form.
Oh,
Yeah,
sort
I
of, but he
killed
came
him.
back. He got better. I did this thing where I
did.
controlled my skin off of my body, and then something killed my skin, so I died.
I did. It was me.
How terrible.
Well, I got
it
you
was
killed.
like we were fighting sky pirates. You just killed
Yeah.
me once,
Yeah.
and then somebody brought me back with a revive potion or something.
I'm still not convinced that Nadia actually came back. Like, I don't think it was. I think Nadia from the Monster Heart game that you ran, Ty. I think that she did die. It was a player who killed me too. It was PvP.
Yeah.
But like technically, it was like an epilogue sort of thing where like I woke up, but like I was in like a hospital/lab that my dad owned, and I don't think it would. Whatever it was, it's not going to be Nadia after whatever happens. So, like, I'm pretty sure Nadia died.
Yeah, that's a part of. Oh, yeah, you did die. That was
100%.
You might have been brought back in some way, but a lot of people died. The second season of that, everyone would have been very different.
Oh yeah,
the way it was narrated in epilogues.
Oh yeah.
Dick Aces almost died. He almost got eaten by an alligator.
By an alligator. A joke almost killed you. One of your most serious characters.
Especially because Vic Aces is like one of my like treasured characters because he's from an animation I made when I was like graduating high school, like from this noir animation called Lost Heart Found Danger. So like I brought him back as a Call of Cthulhu character, and I was like, oh my god, is he seriously gonna die because an alligator it's an alligator in some dude's it was in our
garage.
Yeah. It turns out
pet alligator
because that was from the Haunted Hangover, so we did a lot of things when we were possessed that we don't remember doing, and apparently one of them was winning an alligator from somebody and keeping it as a pet in our garage. And so we opened the garage and the alligator attacked Vic, and I roll all these really poor rolls and it almost kills me.
Wow.
He's got a permanent injury that he'll always remember.
Yeah, he's got a leg injury now because of it. It's permanent. Like
alligator injury.
I had Brody died in Urban Shadows.
Not to be confused with Brogy from Monster.
Not to be confused with Brogy. Brody died. The only reason that the character came back, a version came back, just because Chris decided to name the inn the Wake and Bake in our game. I'm like, it's gotta be this guy.
You gotta put
gotta be this guy that runs it. Did anyone else die?
Chris is like every one of Chris's characters.
Chris and Stanley killed himself.
Like he dies a lot.
No, I did have another character die. They turned into a platypus and died in Chris's.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What?
Did they die from complications?
No, they died via explosion.
Me murdering them.
They were turned into a platypus via a strange injection of some things.
Oh, miracle cure.
Yeah, miracle cure. And then Ty's character was like, I can save one person, and I guess I'll save this one, and it wasn't me.
It was the one that was not a platypus. It was the human being.
Yeah. It was the human being.
Remember in Pathfinder, I think it was their first season campaign, we basically had to go to, like, there was a war between essentially Dr. Pepper and what was the other one?
It was Dr. Pepper, and it was basically the plot of Willy Wonka or that SpongeBob episode.
Yeah, and like essentially I turned the guy who ran Dr. Pepper into like a puppy and then kicked him into a vat.
No, you turned him into a plankton.
That's
to
right.
Finish the
and
joke,
just kind of kicked him off
to finish the joke.
Amazing.
And it was funny because like I think he was mid-speech.
Yeah, he was. Kicked him.
Oh, one of my favorite moments as a player, kind of a sidebar, but it was in the same campaign, is when you gave me that mask that can turn my face into other people's faces. And Matt was trying to like hit on a girl at a bar to get information out of them. And he was rolling really poorly and doing a terrible job. So I walked over to her, I put her face on, and I just go, "Is this guy bothering us?" It looked just like her, and it's just terrifying. She gets up and walks out.
How terrible.
That game probably had some of the best magic items.
Yeah, the truth dagger. You can stab
that's
somebody
my
to
favorite.
change their. But
to change one memory, but it couldn't be the memory of them being stabbed.
I like that. That makes sense.
So, like, there was one time you stabbed Matt's character, and he's like, "What did you change?"
I think I changed the name of the town too.
You changed the name of the town.
Yeah, we were trying to. They were trying to name a town in the game, and it was supposed to be called something else. But my character's name was Nemo, so I stabbed him and said, "No, it's called Nemoville." And that actually appeared in our other
in the second campaign. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
So, Tom, your question was a favorite NPC.
Oh, sorry. One more time. My character died in Dave's campaign. The one that died from the incense. My businessman. Henry.
Because
Francis
his whole
Henderson.
arc happened, so we just decided he needed to die.
He needed to die.
To kickstart the plot of Trail of the Beast.
God, favorite NPCs. So again for Monster of the Week, that poor soul from the Hunter's Lodge.
Holland.
Yeah, Holland. Incredible. It's iconic, stupendous. There was Rats. The combined power of Rats.
Rat has got to be one up there.
From Die Laughing.
I think one of my favorites is still Old Peaches.
Peaches will go down in Mythos Mystery Society.
That's how he died. It just fades away. Turn it into dust, and I'm like, no! But he's like laughing like an old psychotic hillbilly the whole time he's dying.
But also the 2 to 3 NPCs that tie voices in every campaign.
Both of them.
All 2 to 3 of them.
Someone Southern, someone British, and that's about it.
I think one of my favorites is an early one for me. The tree bouncer from the first Teens in Space. Just because I just realized where Ty's imagination lies.
Yeah.
It's not a tree being. It's literally a Douglas fir.
With sunglasses.
With sunglasses. That and the martini glass bartender that Quarantine drank out of.
Oh yeah.
Scream, it was serving alcohol. Yeah, that all the NPCs at the mole people.
All of those mole people.
Pretty much
I love the ass face people from Chris's.
Yes, I was going to say that as a follow up.
Or whatever they're called.
One of the best Chris's is the assassin who we locked in the coffin and then died.
Pushed it over. I think his name was like
very good.
I forget that character.
It's like Jeremy or something. It was something with a J, I think.
Yeah.
It was very good.
And I just shoved it over. And we had a heart to heart for him. You're gonna die there, bud.
But also Valerie Veronica Victoria from Fear Itself, only because she's a ghost. She's never there, but then she's always really excited about everything, but in like the quietest kind of way. And I still am not convinced that she's not a ghost, like an actual physical specter.
She's just the type of camera woman that like gets candid shots, so she disappears and nobody knows where she is, and it turns out she's getting footage during that, but she's also just very quiet and scary.
Yeah, but
so like anytime she
so
appears,
funny.
just like when you get somebody gives her an infrared camera lens and she's like, I just like the red.
And it's fine, and it's great. It's
fine.
very, very
Yeah,
good.
she's great. What about okay, to narrow the question down, I guess NPCs you've created in games you've GM'd. Because I want to say one of mine is it's hard to narrow down a paranoia NPC, but like my favorite one might have been the old man in the tub in the raspberry thing who dies and loses his tub.
Yes.
There be Krakens about. Oop, gotta turn around.
Oh, mine's got to be Rebecca then.
Rebecca was very good.
Would you like to throw chocolates at them?
You weren't even running that game, but it was an NPC.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was running it for a little bit.
Yeah, you created it. Yeah.
I see. To me, again, it's a silly character, but Corentin has this past where he was a loner at a dance, and instead of dancing or finding a love connection, he found a friend that he threw chocolates at everybody else with. That to me is some heartfelt character development.
Corentin is one of my favorite characters.
I love playing
as him. He worked so well with that crew.
Well, he's kind of like the vanilla character. Yeah.
So everyone else's goofiness.
He's the fall guy for everyone else's
exactly.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And I like playing as him too. Like, he's really fun to like.
I love playing as Cyrus so much.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good, just like everybody gets their characters in Teens in Space. You know, like that's why I like to keep urging us to go back to it, because I'm like,
I think that's an episodic too, that everyone just everyone can jam it and it's easy.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't have like too much of an overarching story.
Yeah, there's not continuity really.
Yeah.
And
I'm technically doing a Teens in Space
game.
It's just Mothership.
It's in the Mythos lexicon of the future.
Yeah, we pretty much have it's like cosmic Marvel, right?
Pretty much,
like everything's all in that umbrella or whatever. And so, I mean, which makes sense. You can. That's what's great about sci-fi. You could just kind of like lump whatever you want into it because it's so vast.
I made when I was running D&D for a group, I made a druid dwarf who is basically like, he sounded very similar to how Hector sounds in my Monster of the Week in the game that Ty runs, which is kind of like this with a little bit of a lisp to them. And he instantly endearing. He had a pet goat. He did have to like save another party member's life and therefore died and literally like destroyed all of my players' hearts and trust in me to create NPCs that are endearing.
Yes.
But I like to think that the voice was an inspiration for Hector.
I think my favorite NPCs probably I decided at one point to go with, I think it was after their first Kids and Bikes, to make like, I'm going to make a granny character every game I play, every game I run. Granny. And then it became, it killed my voice. I was super sick the first time we ran it. And I was like, I can't speak the next day. And then it became a major character for Monster of the Week. And I have to voice Gretchen. Her name is Gretchen in that game all the time.
Well, now you don't.
Not anymore, but
she's dead.
Did have to voice her a whole bunch, but one of my favorites that has been cross universe.
Yeah.
Or cross games.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that is a good one.
I had another question.
I liked Wayne Dexon too. I think he's fucking dead now, but Wayne was fun.
That kind of reminded me of the question, which is funny and ironic, because I was going to ask, what's your favorite monster or bad guy that you've ever made as a GM? Because mine are definitely the fucking nurses from Invasive Procedures.
Terrifying.
Yeah, but I also like your wife in Seventh Circle, because shit,
my wife is terrifying, and if you haven't seen or heard it, it's bad.
It's real bad. It was funny because at one point you were just like, if she decides to appear in the flesh, and somebody's like, well, what are we talking about, appear in the flesh? And I was like, I don't know, maybe too much. Maybe too much flesh.
It's just like the flesh is in the wrong places, actually.
Not really good. She's not in a great spot.
It's very bad.
Ghost of somebody who got crushed in an elevator.
It's very bad.
So yeah, she's great. She's terrifying. She speaks and screams.
Yeah. I ran a sci-fi Savage Worlds game called Hellbind 7, and there wasn't so much like a enemy or a monster or anything like that. The monsters, what people thought were the monsters, kind of looked like Alien from Aliens, like the Alien franchise, but they weren't actually like doing anything bad. However, one of the player characters was playing an android, and the like kind of brain synapse, there's like a hive mind thing with the androids, like with the specific line of androids that was being created to essentially be like a secret army to take over everything. They didn't know it, but they kept getting these like strange binary messages that I would just randomly send to to them in like DMs. And they were, you know, something like it would put their name in it and like they're the key to everything. So it was this very ominous, like omnipresent, literally the people that made you are actually not great. So deal with that. Here you go. Happy birthday.
That's awesome.
What about a baddie for you, Ty? Tom, have you made a bad character?
One about
there were like 5 in that one campaign.
There was the cow, which was awful.
Cow was fine. It wasn't a bad guy.
It was
I think
bad,
if anything,
though. It was
Jason
a bad
was the
time.
bad guy in that scenario.
I have
know
one
how
I
to
could
milk a
pitch
cow.
for Tom, but I bet you already know which one you're gonna pick.
I'd rather hear you say one.
I was gonna say the hat.
Well, yeah, the hat's cool.
The hat's fucking cool.
It's the cat in the hat.
The cat in the hat, but it's like terrifying.
Yeah, it's really
like this
scary.
horrible monster. Yeah.
I liked basically the Mr. Rogers replicant.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
good.
there's
Awful.
the scene where they basically the whole scenario, they had to just go to a couple different planets that were a mashup of something from a sci-fi thing you've seen before and a kids TV show. So for Mr. Rogers, it was Cyberpunk Blade Runner world, but his neighborhood was like a Cyberpunk Blade Runner world. And when they got there, they thought they were picking up I think his name was Mr. Henry. And he was Mr. Rogers, though, for all intents and purposes. And he looked ready to go. He just had to get his shoes on and, you know, as Mr. Rogers does when he goes. But right before they're about to leave, another Mr. Rogers bursts through the window and he's naked and cut up. And he says, "It's a replicant. You got to go now." And essentially they have a which twin do I shoot type scenario. And it's funny because later on they figure out that, like, the one they were originally that they had met first, which seemed like a replicant because he seemed like weirdly fake with how nice he is, was the real Mr. Henry. So they saved the wrong one. But the way they figured that out is Godfrey Goose goes like, "How could you not know it was Mr. Henry? He's the nicest guy in the universe." Everybody knows that.
Literally it.
Yeah, Dave realized like, "Oh shit," and he turned out to be
good.
like this weird robot that they had to fight later on. So he was fun. Yeah, and then the hat was cool. And then I think those are the only. Well, I mean, there was Face, but like he's just kind of in it twice. So I think the way you guys handled Face worked out way better than I ever could have planned it. Like the fact that Dave decided to fly the Eimer in one direction, and then Ty and Chris decided not to get in the ship, which actually made the scenario work out better because they basically had to hit a moon essentially with just a little bullet, but it had to hit it like in the back. So it worked out that way. Because the whole moon turned to face Dave. It was going to basically eat him like Pac-Man. But yeah, no, those were fun. So yeah, I think Mr. Henry probably, and then yeah, the hat was cool because it killed almost everybody, and it would have killed you guys too. I didn't know how you were going to get out of that. I didn't write that.
You would have got away with it too.
Yeah, well, the rule was if the hat actually, like, basically, if it can touch you, you will die. That was my rule in my head. So I'm hoping the players figure out how to handle this because I have not written around what happens if that happens. But basically, all of the NPCs they had saved throughout the whole campaign were ripped apart by the hat, except like maybe 2 of them, I think.
Oh no!
So like all the remaining Teletubbies.
Amazing. Ty, did you get a chance to answer?
Favorite bad guy?
I'd
say
monster.
Or monster.
Listen,
you played Monster of the Week for over a year. If you don't
I
have
was
one
gonna
monster.
say, no, I'd say I have 2 types. Either like I like when it's a bad person, like a bad guy that like something is revealed during the last fight, like the Santa Claus battle from Kids on Bikes 1.
Oh yeah.
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 I thought
Or-
the Santa Claus battle for Monster.
Cards.
I thought it was
the
gonna be-
Geppetto battle from City of Mist I really like too.
Yeah.
But most of mine are from Monster of the Week. I like the Taking Tree is one of my favorite.
So it's a bad flesh tree, y'all. It's literally
It's a
tree
bad
made out of
flesh tree.
flesh. It makes zombies that are not flesh zombies. They're
So
just-
it's not like the Douglas fir from Teens.
No,
and
No.
it's a much
Wait,
worse
If
tree.
you
It's a
think
far
the
worse
Taking
tree.
Tree?
It's because
The
we
Taking Tree, yeah.
likened
Like,
it
as
to
in
the
the-
Giving Tree, and
Yes,
we likened it to the
I was
Giving
about
Tree,
to
but it
say.
was Taking instead, which
That's
we didn't
awesome.
realize how apt the name was until
That
like
is
we are
awesome.
now in the finale kind of season sessions, and we're like,
You did that on purpose too, right? It wasn't like a happy accident.
That was the Taking Tree.
Yeah.
They named
We
it, but it was
named it.
like
Yeah.
they named it. It was
Nice.
apt.
Yeah, I've read The Giving Tree, Nathan. a few times. So that hits me harder.
That was one of my favorite from that. Karen is a good like actual villain.
Karen is
that I've
very
played
good.
throughout.
Out of context, I'm like, sure, yeah.
No, you laugh. She controls time and is basically immortal. Like, is very,
She can get the
very
manager
scary.
whenever she wants.
Yeah, in any timeline.
Yeah. He's very scary.
Yeah, it's been my favorite to play throughout. I think 'cause that's one that was created during a session 0 with a player and then has persisted until now.
It's been this ominous threat for like the entire game, and I'm very scared to see it come to a head if it
Yeah,
does.
I'm not gonna forget it. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
The
Don't
last
you
3
worry.
episodes,
coming.
we won't get to
Yeah.
it. It's
It's
fine.
like, yeah, no.
Yeah. Did you have any other Ty?
No, those are my main ones. I think off the top of my head.
Does friend computer count?
Kind of.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
it's
Yeah,
right.
kind of. Okay, final question. Is there a game that you want to run or play in? You can answer either of them that you haven't been able to do either of yet.
There's a scenario called the Wind. Well, it's called the I forget what it's called, but it's essentially based on the Winchester Mystery Mansion in San Jose. And that's one I've been wanting to run for a while, but I think it's a really funny one shot to run at some point. That's a good one I've been thinking about running. I also have one called the Lost Expedition that I almost ran for Mythos Con, but decided to hold it for something else. But it's like one of those ones that I just have in my back pocket that I know by heart, so I could just literally do it off the top of my head at this point. But play in, I kind of want to play in Horror on the Orient Express instead of run it. Like I own both books because I just wanted to own both books, but it's almost like I'd rather just somebody else runs that one and I get to play, because I want to play in a big high flying pulp Cthulhu adventure. Like that'd be great.
I want to run more Savage Worlds, specifically in like my homebrew like sci-fi setting because it's super cool. But I also definitely want to run. Where did it go? What is it called? Teens. I do want to run in a legitimate Teens in Space someday.
Yes.
Like I feel like it's a kind of like a mark of pride at this point. It's like a requirement almost. If you are in
every
Mythos Mystery
guest.
Society, you have to run at least
run.
one Teens in Space game.
Run Teens in Space.
Dave, you
Yeah,
got
Dave
Teens
has.
in
It's
Space.
only been me and Ty,
God,
actually.
Dave.
No,
Right?
Chris too.
Oh
Chris
yeah,
ran it.
me, Ty, and
Chris
Chris.
ran
Yes.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. the
I think
hawk.
that there's a
Hawk.
new game that just came out called The Tower in the Garden, which is like a it's like not quite cyberpunk, but it's like cyberpunk fantasy dystopian strangeness that has like magic but also mechs, and it's like it's very cool and strange and uses like Forged in the Dark, kind of like Blades in the Dark kind of style gameplay. It looks super cool. But also conversely to that, there's also one called the Garden of Giants, which is literally you play as like mouse folk and like frogs and stuff like that, and it's like also kind of surreal and a little bit spooky. That one, it's kind of like Mouse Guard, but different.
That reminds me of that Root tabletop RPG me and
Yeah.
Ty
Tabletop
kickstarted
RPG.
like
Yeah.
4 years ago. Yeah.
That's Tom's answer. Tom wants to play.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say I'd love to play something that's like Redwall or like
Yeah.
where we're all
It's
little
Root,
woodland
yeah.
creatures.
It's Root. It's
The
got to be
Root
Root.
tabletop
Yeah.
RPG is very good. I played it at Gen Con last year, and it was really
Yeah.
fun. I played as a possum.
I recommend the Garden of Giants then, especially
There
the
we go.
Robot Bear. It's actually is being currently in production. I'm just gonna
Nice. Yeah, anything really. I'll take. Just give me woodland creatures.
Give me little
They're just so
babies.
fun. I grew. I mean, I read like every Redwall book as a kid, so I missed those kind of worlds. Specifically, Redwall would be cool. I don't think it's happening, but I don't know. Maybe. I mean, the Netflix TV show is going to come out, so which. Just as a plug for that, the guy who made Over the Garden Wall is making that tie.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool.
Amazing.
He's gonna nail it. It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be
It's gonna be the
great.
first shitty thing he makes.
Yeah, probably
No.
with my luck. Man, yeah, no, that's that. Yeah, that's probably just my answer. I want to play anything with little woodland creatures. That and I keep percolating new ideas for Teens in Space. Like
Mm.
one was an idea that's kind of like Midsummer or whatever, which would be just fucking awesome.
I need to play in that.
Like stuff like that. That's the interesting thing. Like when you make a Teens in Space thing, you realize that like there's a certain flavor it should have. And then when you realize that and you roll with it, something just, I don't know, that whole, like I said, all of our characters click. All the scenarios we've done so far seem to click, like it's just super fun. Something's different about that one. That's all.
For our Teens in Space can be a very wild,
Yes.
like a very
Yeah.
varied system. We just chose Futurama on day one when we decided what kind
Well,
of
not even
space
because
we were gonna have.
they're doing items. We're doing Uber essentially. So which is
Well, like,
funnier because
I meant
you get
flavor wise
NPCs.
out of like Star Trek, Star Wars. We
Oh,
were
yeah,
closer to Futurama.
Yeah.
But what I like is that you by having people as the cargo, you then get more characters that you can play with, and everybody has fun. So it's like anyway. So
I want to play Vampire the Masquerade so
Yes.
bad.
Oh my God. Why did I not say that? What the hell
didn't
did
know
I
it was
say?
So bad.
What did I say? I
Some
said
bullshit.
Stupid
Some
bullshit like
bullshit.
Call of Cthulhu, which I've played 2 million times. No, I want to play.
I want to play
I
Vampire
want to
the
run
Masquerade.
Vampire the Masquerade.
So
Well, I want to do
bad.
both. I want to co-run Vampire the Masquerade with somebody because I also want to play in it.
I'm slowly getting more into vampires again.
Yeah.
Actually,
God, I love Vampire the Masquerade.
see, so I thought we were going to talk about various horror things. So I have a stack of horror books next to me, but
Hey.
but I just recently rebought these. Me and Ty read
Yes.
pretty much
I
all
love
of these.
those. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my favorite.
But yeah, I'm
Fair
like
enough.
slowly like vampires were really cool. I think Twilight ruined it for a little while, but now that you guys are getting back into getting into Vampire the Masquerade, I'm like, I kind of want to do this again.
I have
Right?
yet to play a bad Vampire the Masquerade game, so
It's
it's
gonna be the
my
first
time
game
to
that you
shine
run.
to be the shittiest
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
we've ever
You didn't
done.
watch any of mine apparently because
No,
they
you did
were
not.
good.
The blood magic was always it was
Yeah.
bad.
It was a mess.
Who's a messy?
It was a mess.
Yeah, I feel like after I finish up Lang Fu Saga or Cyberpunk, I'm gonna start a Vampire the Masquerade campaign.
Yes,
Fucking
please.
love Vampire.
It's so very good. Ty, what are some things that you want to play in or run? Or both?
Well, by the time this airs, we will have played Sleepaway, which is one I've been wanting to play for a really long time.
Mhm.
And we may even have played Cypher. Those are the two that we are pretty much ready to play, and we'll probably be playing soon.
Ty over here gets everything you want.
Yeah.
For the woodland creatures, you asshole.
Yeah, I want Root, and once I get Root, I kickstarted. I paid real American dollars.
American money.
We got the collector's edition.
Yeah, we did. Like, we went all in on that. I'm waiting on some. I'd like to play. We did a couple episodes of Rhapsody of Blood, which was a legacy game
Mhm.
in the legacy system. And I would like to play longer in that system to really get the full effect of it. I have kickstarted 3 games in it. I haven't gotten any yet, but they're coming soon. And then I played Rhapsody of Blood and would do more of that too. But I would like to get more into that system to really see all its effects.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's really interesting. Because it's almost powered by the. Well, it is powered by the
It is.
apocalypse.
It's powered by the apocalypse with
different.
more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you play different. You're supposed to play different generations. So
You're
actually on
supposed
Legacy,
to.
Legacy. You're supposed to play like a season of this one age, and then you play overarching things as you go into another age. So it's Legacy. Legacy is the game that started at Legacy. There's some subtitle that I don't remember. Life in the Runes.
Mhm.
Yeah. I looked and I saw that pop up the other day, and I was like, "Oh, this kind of reminds me of Quiet Year, but like
it's very
slightly
cool.
different tone."
Yeah, I want to do that, and then Rhapsody of Blood I have, and then there's 2 others that I think I kicked that are coming soon that I want to try.
Nice. Very nice. Very good. Very good. Well, thank you, fellows, for joining me today on the very auspicious day before the Hallows Eve, when this will be airing, the spooky season. If you missed Mythos Con, it will
Fuck
be.
you.
We're taking a hard
You
stance
can find it on
With
YouTube.
us or without us.
You could probably find it on Spotify.
No, for nothing.
But before we just dissolve into more shenanigans, let the good people who are here partaking in this find you elsewhere. Where can they do that? Let us start with Dave.
Hello, I'm Dave. You can find me at Mystery Mythos on Twitter. You can also find us at the Mythos Mystery Society on YouTube and Spotify and anywhere else you can get your podcasts. We'll be wrapping up our Seventh Circle scenario sometime. We're going to get that on the map. And then I guess in the future, the next thing I'd be running after that is just more Cyberpunk whenever I think of it. And then at some point, I'm going to be running the next scenario of the Lang Fu saga, which is called There Is This One Girl. And it's based off of a Chinese, old Chinese song, like pop song.
Nice.
Yeah, it's that'll be like the second to last scenario for the Lang Fu saga. So that one's wrapping up soon. But yeah, that's kind of like my timeline of events is just we're going to wrap up Seventh Circle, maybe do some more Cyberpunk whenever I feel like it, but try to finish Lang Fu saga. So there I go.
Yay. Ty, where can the fine people of the internet find you?
Ty,
if you want to be found.
But if I want to be fined, I want to be fined. You can find me at Baller and Brawler on Twitter. You can find me at Dice Prairie on Tuesdays. By the time this airs, there might be one episode left before we finish our Monster of the Week game. One or two. It's coming to it.
Crying.
It'll be the end. The very end. And after that, right during that time, I hope to be starting the Alora's Peak campaign, or the first season of Alora's Peak, which would be about 8 episodes with a huge cast of characters from the Mythos Mystery Society. Taryn, Eli, Tom, Dave, Maria, Chris, Jason. So won't be every play every time, but it'll be a big cast as we explore the town we created in the quiet year that you can watch those episodes up on YouTube.
You can just see how we dissolve into
You can
madness.
see the madness of the Belowers.
It's just going to be all about blowers after like
That's
an hour.
Absolutely correct. If we don't
First
start in
hour.
the Belower network, I'm gonna.
I have and I think that's the main thing I'm running. The main things I'm running. I might run something else on. Well, we'll see beyond that. But those are the main things I planned.
Sweet. And Tom, I saved you for last because you do like other things besides play games.
I don't know
on
what the fuck
internet.
we've been talking about this whole time. Video games, I think. Now, I am Tom Bruno, or T.A. Bruno, as some of the internet likes to call me. You can find me on pretty much every social network thingy, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff is T.A. Bruno author, all one word. And that author comes in because I wrote a book called In the Orbit of Sirens, which the light is just killing right now. And then I did it again, and I wrote On the Winds of Quasars, which is the sequel.
Someone please stop him before he does it again.
Yeah, please. I already did. That's the thing. The third book comes out
No.
sometime early next year. I haven't finalized the release date for that, but those are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and maybe in stores sometime soon. I'm kind of making moves to have that happen.
Very good.
Yeah, and that's about it for me. Oh, and I actually have a website if you're interested in the book stuff, just tabruno.com.
Yes. Good.
So otherwise, we're good. That's me.
Amazing. Fantastic. Well, Ty has now become a ghost, which is apropos. It is the spooky season.
One of us
So,
had to die.
One of us had to die, and like
We
we
all knew
said,
it
it
was
was
gonna be
Ty. We knew it was going to be Ty.
Yeah,
So
it was
thank you all
foretold.
for joining us, you who are alive and remain. Reminder that this is going to be up on YouTube tomorrow, Sunday, in the afternoon-ish time to catch it there. Someday, maybe it'll be a podcast. Who knows? But you can catch the next episode next week, Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Twitch, or wherever you get your, entertainment wants, needs, and desires these days. Until next time, everyone, please enjoy yourself a good nightcap and have a great evening.
Brought to you by Schmuckies.
Brought to you by
Schmuckies. It's a nightcap now.
You're getting worse at these.
Listen, we've been doing this for 4 years. It can't be expected. Just cut me off right there.